From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Bursell. This is The Log. Over the weekend, I watched for the... I've lost count now. I watched My Dinner with Andre. Great movie from 1980... 81? 2? I forget exactly. Just the greatest movie of all time. It's right number one on the top of my list. If you've never seen My Dinner with Andre, I couldn't recommend a film more enthusiastically. You just have to go see it. It's on YouTube. It's free. You can see the whole movie for free on YouTube, which is unusual these days. That somebody will catch that and take it down. But even so, you can find it behind some paywall for $3. It's just, you got to see it. Of course, I'm sure you know. If you don't know, it's Andre Gregory, a theater director, and Wallace Shawn, playwright and actor. And they sit down and have this long conversation over dinner. The entire movie is just the two of them sitting, having dinner, talking to each other. And it's just unique and brilliant. And they talk about... It's like the kind of conversation you want to have. Imagine sitting down with someone and discussing the meaning of life and the nature of reality in a way that's just more thought-provoking than any other film or book I've ever encountered. It's amazing. And every couple of years I watch it. I hadn't seen it now in at least a couple of years, so on a whim, I just punched it up on Saturday. And the most important thing about it, for me anyway, there's this thread that goes throughout the conversation about the need for all of us, each of us, to stay awake. They go back to this thread several times throughout the conversation. How to be aware. How to really understand what's real and what's not real, what's important and what's not important. And the kind of sad state of affairs, how many of us, I won't venture to guess how many, too many of us are just sleepwalking through life. We're hypnotized. They mention it a couple of times, the idea that it's all about money. And of course, that's where I always go to. We've been hypnotized, we've been brainwashed, we've been hoodwinked and bamboozled by the need for money. And how we have such little control over our lives. They don't focus on that, but it definitely is an undercurrent that can't be ignored. And they do mention it once or twice. But that's something that I've been aware of my whole adult life. The idea that I have to be reminded, I have to fight like hell to remember why I'm here, and that there are connections to, for lack of a better word, well, I'm not going to use the G word, not God, but whatever's larger than all of us, whatever encompasses the nature of reality, whatever connects us. My biggest fear as a young man, as I was coming of age and having these thoughts, was that I would forget. And suddenly, at some point, 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years down the road, I'd open my eyes and go, oh my God, that's right. I forgot what it is to be a human being. I forgot what it is to really think, to learn, to know. And I've just spent the last X amount of years sleepwalking through life. I am a human being, and I am susceptible to the forces that would make me forget. I feel like I have to leave, a trail of breadcrumbs at all times, something to remind me, something to lead me back. So if I do, when, because it happens to all of us, if and when I do fall into that sleep, there'll be something around me, some breadcrumb that I've dropped to help me find my way back. And maybe that's why I watch My Dinner with Andre every couple of years. It's a wonder. It's like a shot of B12. It's a great reminder. It's a great confirmation that, yeah, I'm capable. I'm capable of feeling and of knowing. And I'm capable of resisting those who would hypnotize me for their gain. I don't want you to confuse this at all with some sort of self-help routine. It's not that at all. As a work of art, as a piece of literature, as an important film, this is not some trite self-help sort of pseudo-spiritual endeavor. No, not at all. It's the exact opposite of that, and that's why I love it. It's a deep philosophical, intellectual conversation that, at the same time, is just endlessly entertaining. From that aspect, it's just a wonderful film. It's just riveting and engaging. And you do all of those things, that you want to do when you're watching a movie. You laugh and you cry and you listen. Oh, I never listen more intently to anyone or anything than I do when I'm watching that movie. And I've seen it again. I'm not, that's not just an expression. I really have lost count. I don't know how many times I've seen it. All right. So please, absolutely, I encourage you, find that movie. So do that. All right. What else over the weekend? Oh, I have to mention Saturday Night Live. A quick review of this weekend's offering. The good and the bad. I could make this a regular Monday feature because I love SNL. I'm happy to admit that I love SNL. I think it's an amazing cultural institution. It's an hour and a half. It's live. It's broadcast to the nation. What else compares? I love comedy. I love satire. I love sketch comedy. I love improv. I'm a bit of a nerd there, so it's my thing. But it's such a beautiful art form. Now we got more than enough. We have tons and tons of comedy and of television shows, and this is a tangent I won't follow. But I've said before, we have too much. It's just, and so much of it is so bad. But SNL remains in an absolute unique position. It's keeping the form of sketch comedy alive. And yeah, there's great stuff online. Yes, I'm not. In fact, there are things that are probably better, especially in the short form. You have things like College Humor or any number of places you can go, Funny or Die. I'm dating myself a little bit. These have been around for a while. But SNL has that immediacy. The cold open is something I always look forward to. How are they going to handle this week's news? How are they going to skewer it? All right, so quick review. Cold open, not bad. A.D. Bryant as Ted Cruz on Sesame Street, Ted Cruz's own version of Sesame Street. So it's this awful, weird right-wing show for kids with all the cast of characters you expect. Joe Rogan and Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's brought to you by the letter Q. No, correction. It's brought to you by Q, not the letter, the person, as in QAnon. So that was good. Small criticism here. Jonathan Majors, who's a very successful and popular actor, has been in a lot of series that I haven't seen because I don't watch much. I don't watch much television. I watch SNL every week. So I don't really know this guy, but he's fine. He's an accomplished actor. Good. Okay. My criticism is, and my open letter to Lorne Michaels, are you so much in bed with the agents and the public relations people in Hollywood that you have to have movie stars and people who are plugging a new movie or a project that they have to host? I'm not sure why so many straight actors are called on to host SNL, because as the host, you have to do a monologue and you have to appear in sketches. And so many times, straight actors are horrible at it. Lorne Michaels got a lot of criticism for having Elon Musk, and I have plenty of problems with Elon Musk, like you do, but he was damn funny. There was a chance that SNL took that I thought paid off. I thought that was a great episode. But whenever there's a straight actor, 9 times out of 10, they're really bad. And Jonathan Majors was not good as a host. He falls into that thing where people think comedy is easy. Comedy is not easy. You have to have some sort of natural affinity for comedy as a performer, and then you also have to appreciate the discipline it takes. Another reason I love SNL. This is a fantastic cast right now. This is one of the better casts over the years. It's really very, very good. Really talented people. And this takes me back to the SNL haters. You think you could do that? You think that's easy to come up with 90 minutes every week and put it up on its feet and to make people laugh and to try to be relevant, try to be genuinely satirical, have a point of view? Wow. If you think that's easy, you have no idea what you're talking about. That's like Aaron Rodgers talking about COVID. You are out of your element. You have no idea what that takes. So Jonathan Majors is very disappointing. Lorne Michaels, please stick to booking comedic actors, stand-ups, people who know comedy, people who have done comedy. You know, Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., Tina Fey, Awkwafina. There are plenty of... There are more talented comics and comedic actors out there than you're ever going to get to. So just use them. It's supposed to be a comedy show. Straight actors often are really bad. And Majors wasn't really good. They saved him on the opening monologue because they brought the rest of the cast in to sort of help him. They almost turned it more into a sketch than a monologue. I think maybe they did that because they saw that he wouldn't do it well. And then when he was in a sketch, I guess he got the job done, but he wasn't comfortable in the role. He wasn't naturally funny. He didn't have comedic timing. His delivery was off at times. He literally flubbed lines at least, 2, 3, 4, 5 times where he had to back up and correct something he said, or he kind of stammered on a line. Yeah, not good. And the other reason I wanted to talk about SNL today, we got a couple of young stars here. SNL is in really good shape for the future. First of all, he's been around now for a couple of years. Bowen Yang is fantastic. He and Cecily Strong did a nice sort of musical theater thing. He's good on the musical theater vibe. And then this new cast member who I was completely unaware of. I don't think she's done anything yet. This was her first feature. She did a desk piece on a Weekend Update, Sarah Sherman. And it was a fantastic monologue about kind of the perspective of a new cast member sort of critiquing the show itself. It was just well performed. It was very funny. And it took this really weird twist where she's getting into this battle with Colin Jost. I'm not going to try to describe it. There's nothing worse than trying to describe comedy. It never works. Unless you're a professional comedian, don't try to describe comedy to anybody. Don't try to recreate a sketch. It will fail. I guarantee you it won't work. Your friends and family, they're going to laugh because they love you and out of pity and general discomfort. They just want to get through this. They want you to finish. So they're going to be polite. They're going to laugh, but I guarantee you, you're not pulling it off. Anyway, yeah, Sarah Sherman. Keep that name in mind. She's going to be back. Now, I haven't seen her do any characters. Again, I don't remember. I didn't recognize the name. I didn't recognize her face. There are several episodes into this season. How many have they done? 6, 7, 8 episodes already in this season? And this is the first I ever heard of her or saw her. But she was hilarious. And then this other guy who really made a name for himself on the very first episode doing, let me see, was it Biden? He's a great impressionist, but he's also genuinely funny. and his name is Aristotle Atari. And this week he did a robot stand-up comedian. And he did things with his voice. I don't know how a human does that. I don't know how he did it. It was again, I'm not going to try to recreate anything or try to make you laugh here in the moment. I'm just going to recommend that you see it if you haven't. Again, Aristotle Atari as a character he called Laughintosh 3000. It was another desk piece on Weekend Update. Which there again, Update is as strong as it's ever been in the whole 7 year history of this program. What else happened last night? Oh, Pete Davidson did another rap video, which he just excels at. And it was genuinely funny, brilliantly produced, featuring 3 writers from SNL who are not cast members, but the last couple of weeks now they've done filmed pieces. And they're very, very good. If you like comedy, and if you've given up on SNL, go back. Go back and watch. The clips are everywhere. They're so easy to find. What else? Oh, the other bit of review. Okay, I'm not a Taylor Swift hater. Fine, do your thing, have your fans. I have no feelings about Taylor Swift. I have no negative feelings about her. She was the musical guest on Saturday. But, Lord mercy, this train wreck of a song she performed was just brutal. It was so tedious and so boring and so musically uninteresting. She did something that I said I'm not a hater, and I'm not, but I'm also not a fan. I'm not that familiar. Does she do this? She's got an acoustic guitar strapped over her shoulder. She's playing, and she's using lots of sort of body language like a guitarist would use. She's strumming those strings and she's kind of gyrating a little bit like a guitarist would do. But she's not a guitarist. In fact, I was curious. I watched her left hand on the fret bar, and it wasn't moving for several bars at a time. She'd go 8 bars, 16 bars without moving, without changing the chord. That's how boring this song was, and how simplistic her playing was. So why are you gyrating like Jimi Hendrix, like you're really into it? It was kind of comical. It was kind of stupid. So it was a horrible song, boring, and it went on for 10 minutes. It just wouldn't stop. Every time I thought the song was ending, she just kept going and going. It was so self-indulgent. It was the worst musical performance I've ever seen on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, Taylor Swift. And through most of the song, she played a film behind her. This very kind of, I don't know, it looked like a Hallmark movie. This man and woman kind of making out in the beginning of it and falling in love, and then they have some sort of falling out. It's like, what's going on here? There's a whole damn Hallmark movie happening behind her. It was all so incredibly basic and dumb. I don't understand. I was really disappointed. Oh, getting back to the guitar, every once in a while, she would take her hands off the guitar and emote. Okay? She'd gesture with her hands. She'd put them up in her hair, or, stretch them out. So there were times when she would just stop playing. I certainly didn't hear any difference. I didn't hear her guitar while it was playing, and I didn't hear it stop when she stopped, so she wasn't even in the mix. It was like a prop guitar. All of a sudden she was Johnny Bravo. It's like, what's going on? It was embarrassing. It was stupid. And I swear to you, I promise you, it's not because I'm an old guy. I love lots of new music. And I hated lots of music when I was a kid. It has nothing to do with my age, I promise you. There was lots of popular music when I was a kid. This is really stupid. It was supposed to be my music. And then through the years, right up until today, there are plenty of young artists who I admire. And there are plenty of weird things that, people my age, I just don't get it. No, I love it. But when I see something really bad or really stupid, oh my Lord, mercy. Taylor Swift, I don't know what that was all about. So good luck to you. Have a career. Have your fans. I'm not a hater. Go ahead. But that performance was really awful. Now, speaking of SNL, I got to go back to last week. Again, just a little shout out to SNL haters. You know what you're talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about. Last week was also, 2 weeks in a row, just really, really strong. Ego Nwodim does this sort of talk show format where she plays Dionne Warwick. And it's very funny. The premise is Dionne Warwick has a talk show, and she brings on contemporary artists, young artists. And sort of what I was just talking about, old people not understanding young music. That's basically the premise. So it gives the other cast members a chance to do their impersonations of young musical artists. And they come on, they talk to Dionne Warwick for a couple of seconds, and then she dismisses them because she just doesn't get it. It's kind of beautiful. And Ego Nwodim's presentation is, she's not mocking Dionne Warwick. She's just making a fun character. So last week, the actual Dionne Warwick shows up during this sketch, and they sing together. And it's one of these great SNL moments. And again, it's one of those things that makes SNL unique. I mentioned the cold open. They can get right on the very latest headlines. But they can also have moments like this, moments in the culture, which I think are, you can't dismiss that. It's kind of a beautiful thing that it's able to do, and no one else can do it really the way they do it. Again, live to the nation. So that was a really nice moment. There were a couple of other great moments last week. The aforementioned, what's his name again? Oh, I made a mistake earlier. Wait a minute. Okay, I need to make a correction. This Atari guy is another one of the new ones. He's a featured player. They divide the cast into the cast and then the featured cast. So I made a mistake. The Atari guy did not do the Orange Menace. That was James Austin Johnson. So I got these two guys confused. He had the Atari had such heavy makeup on as the robot. I thought it was the other guy. All right, so I'm getting to know these people. James Austin Johnson. That's the name you got to remember. Now add to that the Atari guy, because who knows what he's capable of. But anyway, yeah, my correction. James Austin Johnson is the guy who, on the very first episode, did a brilliant Joe Biden, the first one to crack Joe Biden. Comics and impersonators have been having a very hard time impersonating Joe Biden, and he nailed it. Well, last week, the week prior to Saturday, he did a brilliant Donald Trump. It was so good in ways that other people... Donald Trump is kind of easy to do. A lot of people do him. But James Austin Johnson was brilliant. So, as I said, SNL is in very good hands. Bowen Yang, James Austin Johnson, and the other people I mentioned. I'm scrolling here to look up their names because I can't remember them already. I'm forgetting them. Oh, yeah, Sarah Sherman, and then Aristotle Atari. Those four are very, very good. So, yeah, SNL's in good hands. And they've got a few other people in the cast who, if they stick around for a few more years, Heidi Gardner, A.D. Bryant. I really like Weekend Update. That's in great shape. Now, and then I'll close with this. Another recommendation for you. So I got my first recommendation was go see My Dinner with Andre. But if you have not seen Goober the Clown by Cecily Strong, drop everything you're doing right now and go watch it. It is absolute instant classic. People went wild, and rightly so. The critics, the audience, the viewers, it just blew up immediately. An instant classic, they called it, and it is. I watched that thing, and my jaw just dropped. And as a couple of, I read one or two other commentators say, the second viewing is even better. So I went back and I watched it again, and they're right. The second viewing is better. If you're not familiar with the story, she comes on in full clown makeup, It's a desk piece on Weekend Update. And she's talking about the clown abortion she had when she was 23 years old. And how when clowns get together, if one clown says they had an abortion, if there are 10 clowns sitting around, 8 of them will say, yeah, I had an abortion too. So again, there's no way I can translate any of this into any kind of humor as we speak right now. You just have to trust me. You have to go see this. It was hilariously funny. It was extremely dark. It was just the most biting kind of satire anybody could hope for. It was a brilliant piece of writing and brilliantly performed. Cecily Strong is, she's good. She's always been good. She's funny. The girl you can't get away from at a party. Her Janine Pirro. Everything she does is very good. She's a very talented performer. And she recently did Schmigadoon, which I watched, and she was very good. She's just solid. But this just took her into a whole new stratosphere. She's a brilliant writer, a fantastic satirist, a great performer, and this piece was just groundbreaking, classic. It'll be around forever. What I haven't mentioned is she was telling her own story. She said she had an abortion when she was 23, and without that decision, she couldn't be where she is today. And so many, millions of women share this experience about how it's their absolute right and how it's life-changing depending on how you go with your decision. So it was as deep as anything you're going to find in comedy or satire. I mean, deeper than anything you've seen. So she was telling her personal story, and she was putting it through this clown character. And of course, it was spurred by this awful law passed in Texas and other copycat laws around the country. So it had that political impetus. But it became this personal manifesto in the guise of an absurd, hilariously funny character. So, my recommendations for this week: go see My Dinner with Andre. And if you haven't seen it, you have to see Cecily Strong as Goober the Clown. And watch it twice. Watch it 3 times. Watch the nuance. Watch the brilliance. Hear that personal, painful story. I just have huge love for Cecily Strong. I mean, I always liked her. She's funny. She's good looking, as a straight man. I like that in a woman. I've always had kind of a crush on Cecily Strong. But this just took her into a whole different league for me. She's brilliant. She's written a book recently, too, and maybe I should check that out. I'll bet it's good. Well, there's really big news out there that I intended to get to today, but let's just leave it. Let's just leave it there for today. We'll keep today as a little media review day. I'll put on my movie and TV critic hat today. All right. You have your assignments. You'll be a better person. You'll be moved. You'll be enlightened. You'll be entertained if you watch Cecily Strong's Goober the Clown and My Dinner with Andre. First chance you get. All right. I love you. I'm Charles Purcell.